Yep, this is Urban Politics. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music. You know what it is. Let's get right into it. Like a car and drive, all types of tasty politics for us to sink our teeth into. Number one, I want to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I've been instrumental in helping a lot of people achieve this right here, and I always thought it was a good thing. This piece that I saw about it has made me rethink that. So let me bounce it off of you. The sub minimum wage disability pay loophole. What is that? Enclaves or sheltered workshops where disabled workers work, and they can get as low as 20 cents an hour. I've even seen it lower than that, 17 cents an hour, 10 cents an hour. Some disability advocates say that this should be illegal, saying it holds people back from achieving their full potential. Some say without this loophole, some disabled people would not be able to get employment. A job is about more than money or a paycheck. Most disabled people get government funds to offset these low wages. Let's unpack all this stuff right here. Number one, a lot of people say this would stop a lot of, or this does stop a lot of disabled people from achieving their full potential. Some of that, I get it. You know, when people are allowed to pay people as little as 17 cents an hour, 10 cents an hour, 5 cents an hour, no matter what the case is, that's probably what they're going to opt to do because it'll save them money. But then is this denying people a livable wage? Is this denying people that money that they should be making because they're actually providing a service, you know, and it isn't about what you can pay them, what should you be paying them, right? So I get that. A job is about more than making money. That's true. A job gives you sense of purpose. There's a lot of people who love their jobs. I love my job. Now, don't get it twisted. If they don't pay me, I'm not coming because I use that job to fund things like this and, you know, my bills and such. But I do enjoy what I do for a living, and it is it's important, and I have a sense of importance when I'm doing my job. I think everybody needs that, no matter what their job is. You have to have some sense of importance, some reason why you want to do your job above just the monetary piece. Most disabled people do get government funds to offset these low wages. A lot of people who have disabilities do get DSSI, that's disability income. There you go. Or is that DSII or DSSI? Yeah, disability social service income. I might be saying that wrong, but basically it's money from the government, you know, to help these people, but because it's been identified by the government that they cannot work like the rest of us, you know, for whatever reason, whether that's a mental deficit or a physical deficit. For whatever reason, these people are due a little bit of extra help from the government because they're not able to necessarily go out here and get a 40-hour-a-week job to pay all their bills and stuff like that. So these are different things to think about. A lot of people were saying if this sub minimum wage did not exist, then a lot of disabled people just would not get a chance to be gainfully employed, and that is bad because, like I said, there's more to a job than just getting a paycheck. It helps people to feel needed, you know, to feel like they're part of this society and they're contributing something. So that's important. So that's another reason you want people to work, not just because of the money part. I've like I said, I've worked with places like Goodwill and places like that where they do things like this. They do what they'll have is piecework, and piecework can be like when you go to the doctor and have a baby. Everybody gets a little package of things that are in there, like milk and formula and all these little things that you'll need for your newborn child. Well, that was probably put together by a disabled person at one of these enclaves or one of these workshops, and that's the thing they do, and they do piecework, so they get paid per piece work that they do. And like I said, that can be as little as, you know, 10 cent an hour, 20 cent an hour, 17 cent an hour. It goes different rates, and I've seen that. What helps offset that is, like I said, the money that some of these people do get from the government that helps with money and food and clothing and things like that. So this is a different way of looking at it. For years I've been in social services, and like I said, there was plenty of times when I hooked people up with these opportunities at enclaves, and I never viewed it as a bad thing. I always thought it was a good thing. I do understand that there is a bigger piece of working than just that paycheck, but at the same time, I hate to think that anybody is getting slighted, and Lord knows I'm a big proponent of the minimum wage. You know, the minimum wage should be $15 an hour. Really, with inflation and everything else, it probably should be $20, $25 an hour, but that's another show for another time. With that said, we do need to maybe look at this and maybe step back and do some debating about this, because this minimum wage disability, you know, loophole, there probably are people taking advantage of this, and it's not necessarily helping all the people it could help. Maybe it is thwarting some people from achieving their full potential. I don't know. This is definitely the discussion we should have, but I never viewed it as a negative until really hearing the ins and outs of it and kind of put this way, and a different side of it from different people who, you know, could have took advantage of this but didn't, and now they're making all types of money or whatnot. So that is what it is. There'll have to be a little bit more discussion on that. Watch this space. Moving on, let's talk about immigration. That's a hot button issue. Always has been, probably always will be. Immigration, let's just hit you with a fact. It was at a 50-year low on Barack Obama's watch. So his last day in office, immigration was at a 50-year low. It went up under Trump. It went up under Biden. Now, there's a lot of different reasons for that. Why it went up under Trump, I'm not sure. Lord knows he was no friend to immigrants with his child separation policies and all of that type of stuff. That surprised me that it went up under Trump, but it did. It went up under Biden. They said that there were a lot of immigrants. They got the message that Biden was a lot more sympathetic to the plight of immigrants. He did say that. Now, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but basically he did say that he was sympathetic to the plight of immigrants, and you know, that he understood that people were coming over here, you know, seeking a better way of life. With that said, he did not say, please come over, the border is open. He never said that. I never heard that come out of Joseph R. Biden's mouth. Yeah, come on over, our borders are open. But the right kind of painted it like that. I think for whatever reason, a lot of foreigners did get that message. A lot of them did say that they understood that he was a lot more sympathetic to their plight, which you know, also enticed them to come over here. But then he ended up having to say it, and have a lot of surrogates from his administration saying that do not come over here, do not send your kids over here. They can get hurt or killed trying to make the voyage over here, and then when they get over here, they're going to get sent home. So that is what it is. 1.7 million illegal crossings this past fiscal year. So that's untenable. You know what I mean? That is just unsustainable. We can't do that as a country. It puts such a burden on our resources. They said 200,000 crossings at the border a month. A month. 200,000 people seeking asylum and seeking entrance into America. Once again, that's untenable. That puts a huge burden and a huge strain on our resources. We just can't do that. You know, I don't know if there's ever a time we could do that. Even I think when immigration was at its height, it probably wasn't this many people trying to come in this fast, right? And a lot of them are seeking asylum, but some of them are just seeking a better place to live, you know, and that is what it is. So, Joe Biden, like I said, he said that he was compassionate to the plight of immigrants. He did not say, come over, the border is open. And like I said, if you watch Fox News or you hear a lot of people on the right talk, you would think that the man got on TV and said that. Border's open. Everybody come on into this great country, America, and see what you can do. We'll let you in. It's all good. When you get to the gate, we got you. He did not say that. He did not say that. Now, does he have the child separation policy that Trump had in place? No. But he also is not necessarily rolling out the red carpet for immigrants. There are some Trump policies that he kept in place and did not get rid of. And he came under fire for that. And he's gotten in trouble as of late. You know, Mr. Biden, he's gotten in trouble as of late for that. Some of the stuff that was going on at the border, you know, with Haitian refugees being whipped by guys on horseback, whether they had whips or they had the reins of the horses, whatever. They were still whipping brothers while they were on horsebacks. It was a horrible scene. The optics were terrible. So Mr. Biden has been dealing with that. That is a Trump policy that he didn't get rid of. He kept that. So some of that Trump madness he got rid of, some of it he's kept. Because he's not necessarily Mr. Open Arms when it comes to immigration. And that is what it is. But the right wouldn't want to paint him in that fashion, right? Anyway, some foreigners think, they were saying that the streets are actually paved with gold. Now, I've heard that. I've worked with a lot of kids from different places around the world, and they've told me that people who aren't from America really do think that the streets over here are paved with gold. Now, that was something that they used to always say about America, and all that was saying is that the opportunities here were boundless. I think they still are. They're a lot harder to come by because this ain't the America it used to be, but where else would you see a Snoop Dogg? Where else would you see a Puff Daddy? Where else would you see people who have literally come from rags to riches? Where else would you see that but here in America? You know what I'm saying? So that's major, and that does still go on here. Are the streets paved with gold? No. There's still some hard work you got to do in this country to make that million you're trying to get. But everybody's chasing the bag, and there is plenty of opportunity here in America. And of course, foreigners are turned on by that, but they need to know the streets are not necessarily paved with gold. That's what an African kid I worked with said. He said, Mr. Eddie, it's hard in this country. You got to work hard. A lot of hard living over here. A lot of us just don't know that. That's not a piece of the story that we get. So that is what it is, right? We need to re-examine what it says at the bottom there, the Statue of Liberty. Bring us your huddled masses yearning to be free. You know what I'm saying? Are we still on that? Do we still want those huddled masses coming here to America? Can we still handle all that? Do we still have the resources to be able to take on the influx of foreign individuals who want to come in this country, whether they're seeking asylum or seeking a better life? I kind of think those two things are one and the same, but there's a difference. I guess they want to give more, I don't know. I guess America has no problem taking in people who they think are actually running away from crime, actually running away from drugs and gangs and stuff like that in their communities, than people who just want to come over here seeking a better way of life, seeking a better job, seeking a better education for their children. Like I said, I think those two things are not mutually exclusive, though, because people want a better way of life, but they also may want to escape hardship or calamities that are going on where they're from. But all of that is doing what? Seeking a better way of life. So at the end of the day, any person who takes that long journey to get over here to America is seeking a better way of life. Now, what I said is the government and us as Americans, we have to ask ourselves, is that still a part of our principles? Is it still okay for foreign people to come here and seek asylum? Are we still okay with taking them in and helping them start a better life and having a better life, using our American resources? I mean, it's always been on our Statue of Liberty. Like I said, we need to have a conversation as a country and determine whether we're still on this. If you go over there and listen to Fox News, a lot of people who sit on the right would say, we're not doing that anymore. We don't have the resources to do it. We just can't do it. If that's the case, then let's say so. Let's make sure that people know that when you come here to America, you're not coming to open arms. You might be coming to some hostility because we just don't have it like that anymore. And a big piece of that, too, is America humbling itself, right? Because then we'd have to admit that even though we run around talking about this, we're number one and America's number one. Yeah, we're number one. But right now we are having a resources crunch. And we can't just take any and everybody because we just don't have it like that to do so. So, like I said, if that's the case, let's just go ahead and say it and put it out there. Moving on, let's talk about Biden's town hall. It was pretty good. The GOP unanimously voted against the voting rights bill. That's troubling. That shows you we have a whole party on the right that doesn't want voting rights, and then we have a party on the left that wants to expand voting rights. So, you know what I'm saying? You make the determination in your own mind, but that's pretty that's pretty plain if you ask me. Biden says he's open to fundamentally changing the filibuster or getting rid of it altogether, especially in the case of raising the debt ceiling and the voting rights bill. Two things that are huge. Like he said, we're not going to renege on America's debts. We're not going to do that. That's ridiculous. So we're raising that debt ceiling. If I have to, enact a filibuster to make that happen, we'll make that happen. And voting rights. That's huge. Republicans running all over America trying to take away people's voting rights and trying to disenfranchise people of color and women and the elderly when it comes to votes. Why? Because their policies are unpopular and they know that they can't win a vote if they just try and win it based on the merits of the argument. Because there argument sucks. So they've been running around America trying to steal elections. They're really gearing up for this big steal coming in 2022, and even bigger steal coming in 2024. So people better be paying attention to that. So I understand, and I'm glad to see that Mr. Biden also sees the importance. Those are two things that's hugely important. Raising the debt ceiling is huge because we can't go reneging and defaulting on our debts. But also, number two, voting rights. That is probably the number one right in America that we need to make sure that we are protecting for all Americans, okay? Even though Republicans are coming after minorities, they're coming after women, they're coming after young people, this is an issue for all of us. Because guess what? The people they're not coming after yet, they'll be coming after you next if you don't vote the way that they want you to vote in 2024. Feel me on that. Anyway, moving on. Kristen Sinema is supportive of the bill, but she doesn't want to raise taxes on billionaires. I wonder why that is. They said that a lot of billionaires and such are in her pocket. They make, they're big donors to her. So she has to be looking out for their interests. They said some of the only calls that she's taken is not from regular people like you or I, but only from her big business donors, her billion-dollar donors. So she's making sure that she's protecting their interests, saying that she's on board with the Build Back Better plan, but she doesn't want to raise taxes on billionaires. Whatever. We got Mr. Manchin. For whatever reason, he doesn't support Medicare expansion. I don't know why. He hates old people. That's a joke. I don't know what he has against expanding Medicare, though. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, he wants a gradual move away from coal, probably because the state that he represents produces, I think, more coal than anybody. So he's looking out for his constituents. A lot of them have been scared about, the climate change bills and stuff like that. And yeah, we're trying to reduce our dependence on coal. It's not going to happen overnight. He just wants to make sure that it doesn't happen too abruptly for people in his state to not be able to get a handle on doing something different. Yeah, whatever, Joe. And they also said that he had a whole lot of money involved in fossil fuels and stuff like that. So when we reduce our dependence on some of these sources, he stands to lose some money. So it is what it is. Welcome to politics. Progressives are upset. This bill has went from 6.5 trillion all the way down to 1.9 trillion. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's been cut out the bill and that we're not going to get. Some of the highlights and lowlights of the bill: free community college, that's been cut. That was a big thing. Bernie Sanders was talking about that when he was running for president, and he didn't end up getting it, but that was one of the biggest things that he threw in there, and that's been in the public zeitgeist for a while. It hasn't went anywhere. I'm glad to see, but it looks like that Mr. Biden and the Democrats are not going to pull that off this go around. They said they're not done with it. Look for it in the future, but for right now, that's not going to happen with this bill. Middle class families will get a child tax credit for child care costs. That's huge. He was talking about how he wanted to help middle class families with child care costs. Now it looks like they'll get a tax credit that'll offset some of that expense through the year. That's major. Paid leave went from 12 weeks to 4 weeks. Now I've heard that some places like France have up to 6 weeks of paid leave for family care and stuff like that. Ours has went from 12 weeks to 4 weeks. Guess what? Something is better than nothing. So I guess they got to cut their losses where they could cut them. I definitely like 12 weeks more than 4 weeks, but like I said, we'll take something over the nothing any day of the week. The National Guard, they said, could help with this slow supply chain that's going on. A lot of Americans can't get some of the goods and stuff like toilet paper and some of the other, items that you and I need. Go to the store and they're not there. They said the supply chain has been weak or whatever. There's an absence of individuals or whatever to help with that supply chain. They said the National Guard could be a part of helping that. But that has nothing to do with Mr. Biden. That's a call for governors. So you need to holler at DeWine in my state and some of these other jokers. Tell them to get their act together. Holler at the National Guard. See if they can do something about getting this supply chain together so that you can get your barbecue, you know what I'm saying, and your beer and your cigarettes and your soda and all the other things that this supply chain is really kind of holding up right now for Americans. Biden says he's out of the or he's going to stay out of the Department of Justice's investigation of Steve Bannon. That is refreshing. That is a president right there telling you, listen, the Department of Justice works independently of my administration. They got nothing to do with me. So I'm going to let them handle that. If they're subpoenaing Mr. Bannon, that's a good thing. That's fine. But I'm going to let them do what they do, and I'm going to stay out of it. That's a great thing. If you're paying attention, the last guy in the last administration, his nose would have been all in this. And Steve Bannon would have been a part of the other side. He'd have been in there trying to make sure that they did something nefarious to this guy who wasn't a part of his gang. But we have this president now who's a Democrat. Mr. Bannon was obviously down with the other dude. He still said, I'm going to stay out of it. I'm not going to be putting my 2 cents in because that's not the president's place. That's not what he's supposed to do. The Department of Justice acts independently of the administration. That's real spit, and I appreciate that. That is adhering to the rule of law, so Mr. Biden said that's what he's going to do. Really, ain't no need to mess with this. All these people who are implicated in this January 6th fiasco, they will get their comeuppance. Things are going to happen to them. Now, the wheels of justice move extremely slowly, so none of this stuff is going to be fast. But like I said, they will get their comeuppance. They will get their just desserts. So we'll just have to sit back and let it happen and let it do what it do. But it's a great thing that Mr. Biden understands that he doesn't need to be tipping the scale or touching this investigation or adding his 2 cents in or none of that. Let the Department of Justice do what they do. And then Mr. Biden was saying that Americans are down because of COVID. They're depressed. Well, duh. And I'm like, man, I am glad that we actually have a chief executive officer of these United States who's paying attention. People are depressed. People have lost loved ones. People have lost mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, acquaintances, co-workers to COVID. Yeah, we're at 700,000 dead Americans. My Lord, that is a lot. It looks like we're poised to be looking down the barrel of 1 million Americans whose lives have been taken because of the coronavirus, because of COVID-19. So, this is sad times right here. And I'm glad that, Joe Biden, he's not circumventing the truth. He's not peppering the pimping. He's being honest about it. People are depressed right now. He gets it. He said, I get that. People have lost loved ones. The economy ain't right. Now he didn't say all this. I'm adding these caveats, but the economy ain't right. The stimulus, it is what it is. People have gotten these cash injections, but a lot of it's gone because you had bills to pay. You had food to buy. You had late bills to make up for not paying. So a lot of people got stimulus money and it immediately went to rent. It immediately went to pay past debts of money they had to borrow so that they can make it through these days while they're not working. I get it. He gets it. I'm glad that our president let us know. Consoler in chief. That's what he's doing right there. And that's what you got to be sometimes. Consoler in chief. Because he knows it's hard out here. Okay? And I like the fact that he acknowledged it. Because it's not a shortcoming as a president to acknowledge that he is president his administration is presiding over some tough times. Be honest about that. America knows what it's going through. Let us know that you know what they're going through. And he did. So hats off to Mr. Biden for that. Moving on to my last point. Barack Obama, his message to the GOP. Tell us your ideas instead of trying to rig elections. That was great advice. They're not going to take it. Unfortunately, a long time ago, the GOP had said, listen, selling our ideas to the American people, that ship has sailed. Turning minorities and black folk and other folk on to our way of thinking, that ship has sailed. Winning people over with the merits and the argument of our, or the merits of our argument, that ship has sailed. How can we steal elections? How can we continue to circumvent democracy and make sure that we keep power? Now, for a long time there, the Republicans did not have power. While Barack Obama was president, a lot of us were dancing in the streets. A lot of conservatives were crying in their bags of money. Waiting to wake up from this dream where Barack Obama was not president anymore. And it happened. And lo and behold, when he got out of there, then came that other guy, he whose name shall not even be mentioned right now because I get sick of talking about him, but his party keeps him relevant. But that dude came in and he did his dance for 4 years. And it was hard for people like me who care about democracy and care about politics to watch. But we watched it. He did his thing. And then he lost when it came time for him to get a shot to do it again. He lost. It is what it is, but we all lived through that. The GOP, they had lost power, then they got it back again with Trump, and now they've lost it. So now they're desperate. Their backs against the wall, so much so to where they're still buying on to this whole cult of personality that is Trump. They can't get away from that because they feel like that's their only way of being successful. Most of them have went on record as saying that they think that is the only way that they can be successful as a party is to stay in this guy's good graces. So that's sad and that's pathetic. And like I said, if they would just get some Q-tips and open their ears as a party and hear what Mr. Obama was saying to you. Tell us your ideas instead of trying to rig elections. Now, I have never been a Republican voter. I've never voted for a Republican. But like I said, before the days of Trump, I at least respected the party because they had a lot of views. I didn't agree with any of them. But they had a lot of views, and every now and then, I'd turn over to Fox, and I would hear something I'd agree with. But these days you turn over there and you get a whole lot of pushing conspiracy theories. You get a whole lot of rhetoric from Tucker Carlson and the like. And these people, they're just money hungry. They're just in it for the cash. They really don't care what comes out of their mouth. You know what I'm saying? That they just want to continue to just beat the drum. Beat the drum. Keep the money coming in and keep people delusional about the facts. And that's that gets tiring to watch. It's hard to deal with, and me and a lot of other people. Really, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a purveyor of politics. I've been watching this thing since I was probably 10, 11 years old. I really enjoy it. And I enjoy the fight between both sides, right? Because I like a game where the stakes are really high. A lot of people get into sports, right? But when the Bulls win, some people got paid. But, Chicago walks around with their stick in their chest out, Chicagoans. But, it's not as big as when some of these policies get passed, right? Some of these policies get passed and now kids don't live in the cold anymore. Some of these policies get passed and now gay and transgender people won't just walk into work one day and get fired because of the way that they choose to live their life. The stakes are high when it comes to this game called politics. That's what I dig. That's what I enjoy, right? And in this high stakes game, we have to ask more of a party. We have to say, GOP, if you're gonna play this game, play it with your heart. Don't play games with us now. And please, it can't just be all about the money in the end of the day. Me and my pops have discussed that because we're like, well, some of these people already have more money than God. So this ain't about the money for them. It's bigger than that. And for some of them, it's just about the power. That's what it's about. It ain't about the money. It's about the power, that political power. They want to keep it. And when they have it, they wield it like an axe and chop off the heads, of their competitors and their so-called foes, right? So I agree with Mr. Obama here. Tell us your ideas instead of trying to rig elections. But with that said, Democrats, get hip to the game. You already know what it is. The GOP has already showed you. They're not trying to win the argument based on the merits anymore. Forget that. That idea is dead to them. They said right now, we're going to make sure that these black folk can't vote. We're going to make sure that these women can't vote. We're going to make sure that these old people can't vote. We're going to make sure that these young people can't vote. We're going to disenfranchise anybody who doesn't agree with the GOP and Lord King Trump. So with that, I would say Democrats, get on your game and support some of these voting rights bills and voting rights acts. Because John Lewis and some of these other great activists that we've had that have passed on, they've already showed us how to do it. They've already let us know what needs to be done. It's a constant fight. You have to never let up. And, it ain't over till it's over. And it ain't over. You know what I'm saying? So that TI is what it TI is. This is Urban Politics. I am Phys Ed Music. As always, if you like what you've heard, if you like what you've seen, like and subscribe. Tell a friend. And as always, see you around like a donut.